Good evening, everybody. You having a good time so far? Well, welcome everybody here to Congregation Beth, a powerhouse of faith, hope, and healing. I'm grateful to all of you to come to support the sacred work that we do. We try to make sure that everybody who comes in here feels a little bit stronger, a little more confident, a little bit better about their life when they leave. And we hope that you feel the same and that this evening is also uplifting to you. So we're very grateful for you being here today, and I know that we're going to have a fantastic evening with Benj Pasek, and looking forward to that. You came to hear him and not me, so I'll keep this short. I did want to say thank you to the myriad of busy bees who made this happen, a huge group of people, volunteers who worked for literally months to put together this fantastic event. And in particular, I want to thank Heidi Silverberg and Nancy Cutler, and I'm going to invite them up here on the table. Who joined me and Robin Berger. Robin is the professional head who has been in charge of putting this together on the inside, working with Heidi and with Nancy. And together the three of you make an incredible team. Before Sharon does. She doesn't understand. It is with a great deal of joy that I, with all of you, expressing accolades and profound thanks to Adam and Sharon Saxton, this evening's honorees. Adam and Sharon usually sit over there, but they're sitting in the bar mitzvah parents seats right now. And for those of you who don't know him, that's Adam over there. And I think that everyone who has a computer or a cell phone knows Sharon. But honestly, for all of the social media, the reason, quite frankly, why both Adam and Sharon are being honored here tonight is really for the things that you don't see. You don't see the countless acts of kindness that Sharon and Adam do for people in need without ever being asked. You don't see the rides and the meals and the calls and the love and support that they give to people. When people are at their worst, Adam and Sharon are at their best. And you don't see the look in the face that Rabbi Green and I do each and every time we meet with a child to do a Devar Torah. Because as you know, the kids here at our shul, they talk about the Torah portion, they give the Tzedakah project. And then when they meet with us, they're kind of like, they're a little uncomfortable. And then I take out this beautiful chumash, and I say that this is yours, and this will be yours forever. This is your Torah. And then I open it up and I say, I know it's yours because it's got your name in it. And they see that they got their name actually in the chumash that they're going to study for their Torah reading. And then underneath it in very small letters, it says a gift of Adam and Sharon Saxton, who make sure that every single one of our kids has a chumash to feel good about themselves and to study and to learn Torah. That's your Torah. It's the quiet Torah. And so in my heart, Adam and Sharon, that's why we're honoring you. And you know what, and people can satire like me all they want, but I know what's on the inside, and it's two hearts of gold. And so before I invite the two of you up, I want to share with you a special surprise. Oh, Chazan Pomerantz Bora!
Thank you, Rabbi. Surprise. To me, too. So, when I came from my interview weekend with Stephen, Sharon and Adam were among the very first people that we met. Thank you, Rabbi Krupnik, for having them take us out to dinner. It was something to talk about. And really, you helped seal the deal, because when we saw the kinds of hearts that you have, it was obvious from the day we met. And so this song, Never Enough, I know that you give and you give and you give, and for you it's never enough. But really, the second meaning of this song for me is that you think you're moving to Florida. And you might think you're just coming back for the summers, but that's never going to be enough for all of us in this community. So this really goes out to you and to your parents and to your mom who was able to be here. I'm trying to hold my breath, let it stay this way. Can't live without your love. There as a dream in me, getting louder now. Can't you hear it echoing? My hand, will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands can hold the world, but it'll never be enough.
my fellow clergy. Adam and Sharon, come on up for a second. Sharon, Adam. We have a few gifts for you. First of all, this proclamation, which I'm not going to read, that makes this Adam and Sharon's sexting day. It's Adam's sexting day, and it's signed by Harry Black. Thanks, Harry. Secondly, for your new home, on behalf of all of us, these are candlesticks that I'm sure you will put to good use in your new home. And finally, in here is a very highly personalized tribute book that we put together honoring you, and each of us wrote in it, and it has it'll be, I'm sure, honestly, a treasured memento for you from this special day. So it's our pleasure to honor you on this big night.
To follow that. The rabbi in the Kazan took half my speech. All right. So, Sharon and I would like to thank all of you for coming this evening. Since we're all looking forward to hearing from Benj Pasek, I will try to keep this brief, 20, 30 minutes. Those of you who know us know that Sharon does not like to speak in public. Therefore, I get to do the speaking at moments like this. It is one of the very few times where I get to say more than Sharon. As the rabbi alluded to, you may also know that Sharon has been known to occasionally post on Facebook. Since I would like to be able to go home at the end of this evening, I will now pause so that Sharon can take a selfie with everyone here. It will be on Facebook before I finish this speech. You all know it's true, so you all just got notifications. It's true. Since moving to southern New Jersey in 1994 from New Haven, where I did my residency in anesthesiology and pain medicine, Sharon and I have grown deep roots in this community. We joined Congregation Beth, as most young parents do, when our eldest child, Josh, there it is, was preparing to start Hebrew school. In the years since, we have shared both simcha and sorrow with our Bethel community and our clergy, Rabbi Krupnik, Rabbi Furman, and more recently Rabbi Green, and our Chazan, Elisa Pomerantz-Burrow, who, as the rabbi mentioned, we had the pleasure of taking out for, actually, because I mentioned, we had the pleasure of taking out for dinner along with her husband, Stephen, when they interviewed here at Congregation Bethel, which I figured out on Sunday at the annual meeting was more than 15 years ago. Despite that, they decided to join us. It was an interesting dinner. I don't have time to tell the whole story. They are not just our clergy, but also our friends. We plan to share many more such times with them here at Bethel in the years ahead. We have seen our son Josh grow up, get a bachelor's degree from UMD and a master's degree from Temple. By the way, sorry, Gary, who's a Duke fan. A master's degree from the Temple Fox School of Business in Business and Data Analytics. He now works for Comcast. His younger sister Jackie will graduate GW in a few weeks, which is hard to believe, with a double major in marketing and entrepreneurship and a minor in Mandarin Chinese. Yes, she really speaks Chinese. Despite still being a student, she's been a full-time employee at Kaiser Permanente in Rockville, Maryland since January in marketing operations management. They have both grown into remarkable young adults with a bright future ahead of them and are more or less off my payroll. As they have grown up, Sharon and I have tried to instill in them an appreciation of the values which we learned from our parents and from Judaism, including the values of morality, education, self-reliance, taking responsibility for one's own actions, and being generous with both their time and in charitable giving without expectation of reward or recognition. We've tried to do this by both words and deeds. Sharon and I have both had the privilege of being active in both our Bethel and Southern New Jersey Jewish communities. We have done this because of the desire to give back to our community. In fact, neither of us seeks nor enjoys public recognition, despite what you may see here. We have received exponentially more in personal satisfaction, joy, and friendships than we have given in time and money. We can only hope that our children will experience the same in their lives. It is for this reason that this evening has been particularly difficult for Sharon. Sharon is a doer and has participated in the planning and execution of almost every major event here at Bethel over many years. The fact that she has been deliberately kept out of the planning of this event has been driving her crazy for months. As the recipient of her frustration and angst, I would like to personally thank tonight's chairs and our friends, Nancy Cutler and Heidi Silverberg, their subcommittee chairs Joan Feinberg, Meredith Becker, Kathy Bacall, Faye Shapiro, and Paula Ligorski, and the entire committee, which is too numerous to mention, who have done an amazing job here tonight in what is obviously a labor of love. We would also like to thank Robin Cohen, Tamar Barkan, and our Executive Director, Josh Schlaster, who is most... Didn't I say that? Sorry. I got a little mixed up. Robin Berger, Robin Cohen, Robin. Tamar Barkan, and the Executive Director, Josh Schlaster, who, as most, if not all of you know, keep Congregation Bethel running, along with our amazing Bethel staff. Although tonight is Tamar's last night as an employee of Congregation Bethel, she will remain, along with her husband, Nir, a part of our community and one of our dear friends. And I would like to point out she also matched all of the tablecloths and the hangings tonight with her dress. We would like to thank all of our family and friends who have joined us here tonight, including our children, my mother, my father who is watching us from above, and Sharon's parents who could not be here in person for health reasons but are watching us on Facebook Live. No shock there. Finally, as many of you know, we are building a condo in Boca where every Jew from the Northeast eventually goes for the winter. Despite this, we have no intention of leaving behind our Bethel family. We will continue to be here half the year, minus one day on the advice of my counsel. And this will always remain our spiritual home. Once more, on behalf of Sharon and I, thank you for this great honor and great evening.
Bethel. Okay, we have a very exciting night for you tonight. Before we bring out our special guest, a few announcements. We do have a drawing, a raffle at the end of the evening, so remember, stay in your seats when we're all finished. We're giving away tickets to Dear Evan Hansen. We're giving away food at the Chop House. We're also giving away that beautiful $8,000 bracelet that we all want to get our hands on. Did we find the bracelet, by the way? The other announcement, before the evening started, a roll of money was found in the lobby. It was wrapped in a rubber band. It was mostly hundreds and fifties. If it is yours, we found your rubber band. So please come see me after the event tonight and we'll get that back to you. So I have the distinct honor and pleasure of interviewing our guest of honor tonight. He is an Oscar winner, Tony winner, a Golden Globe winner, of all the shows that you love. Dear Evan Hansen. Who's seen Dear Evan Hansen? Who's seen it more than once? And who can't stop crying and laughing the whole way through? It's great. How many times have you watched The Greatest Showman at home or at the theater? La La Land. And he's from our neck of the woods. I'm going to bring him out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Benj Pasek.
Hey, everyone.
Well, this is exciting. I'm going to fanboy out a little bit here.
Please.
Yeah, so thrilled to be up here with you.
I'm very excited. I live in New York and I pulled into 30th Street Station and I felt like I'm home because I'm from Philly, so this is very cool to be here with you guys tonight.
You grew up in Ardmore, right? Right across the river. You went to Friends Central School in Wynwood, where I went as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your childhood and how your continued ties to this area have shaped your career.
Yeah, well actually, I just was outside with a friend of mine who I grew up with and we went to Beth Hillel preschool together, so that's like, you know, the people that you find in the hallways of this synagogue here. But I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and in terms of like Jewish identity, you mean, or?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I did the whole bar mitzvah thing. I think I was a very angry Jewish 13-year-old, you know, as most are.
I have one of those at home.
Yeah, but then I kind of got into the whole like Jewish thing, you know, recently. So I'm newly, or I guess, newly converted, I guess.
You're finding your Judaism again.
Yeah, totally.
I understand your mother, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us, and I was supposed to be, besides being a children's author and a writer of children's music and a professor at Temple University, was your major inspiration for getting interested in music and getting interested in theater.
Yeah, it's true. I think actually most of the people that are here tonight, everybody that I've met so far is like, I know your mother. Or, you know, it's like, I know a cousin who knows your uncle, who knows your mother. But she's great. And my mom, yeah, she's a professor at Temple, and she teaches psychology, and she wrote children's music when I was growing up. So as a kid, I was always really witnessing someone translating the everyday moments of childhood into song. And so I would perform with her as like an 8 or 9-year-old, and she would perform at our synagogue, and you know, I thought that my mom was like actually really famous at the time, because like my congregation was like, you know, oh my God, it's, you know, Benj's mom. But then I realized it was like, you know, 300 Jews in Wynwood, and it didn't really extend beyond that. But I was very proud of her. And yeah, she has been a total inspiration for me as a writer and as a creative thinker and as a parent.
I remember when you won the Oscar in 2017 for La La Land, you thanked your mom, and I want to get this right. You said, "Thank you for letting me quit the JCC soccer league to be in a high school musical."
It is true.
And you dedicated that Oscar to all of the kids who sing in the rain and all the moms who let them.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's really important to let your kids follow what they love and what they're passionate about. And I was really lucky to have a parent, two parents really, who did that, and I feel really lucky. So,
you talked a little bit about your rebirth into Judaism, and I know that you are active in an organization called Reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand about Reboot, it's a nonprofit, right, that helps affirm the values of Jewish tradition and creates new ways for people to make them their own. So tell us why that organization and some of the projects that you've been involved with that you're most proud of.
Yeah, well, you know, I think, as I was saying, I was one of these kids who really didn't want to go to Hebrew school when I was a kid. You said one of those at home. But I think when I was in my 20s, I really was looking for meaning and connection, as we all are, I think. And I think that the more sort of hyper-connected we've become as a society online, the more kind of privately lonely sometimes we feel. And the need for community, like the one that you guys have here, is something that I think really, really matters in the world. And before sort of running away to figure out what that could be independently, I thought, you know, what have I inherited, and what do I want to do with what I've inherited? And so it's been like a kind of personal mission for me to figure out how to build Jewish-related content that feels like it appeals to me and my friends. And so we've been working on a couple of projects. We did, the last couple of years, we've done a Passover Seder where we build this giant Bedouin tent, and we get all these Broadway performers to come, and we kind of reinvent and retell the story of Passover. So the first year we got like Tova Felcha and Danny Burstein to play two very, you know, Flemish Jews who had just crossed the Red Sea, and they were telling their story. And Mario Cantone, do you guys know who that is, from Sex and the City? He played a version of Pharaoh's PR guy, who was modeled after Sean Spicer at the time. So he was basically just telling everybody why the 10 plagues were actually great, you know, for everyone. But you know, the next year we had told the story of two folks that I know. One is a guy who escaped the war that's going on in Yemen, and this amazing kid named Daniel, he's a biotech, you know, engineer from New Jersey. And this kid, Daniel, figured out how to help this, basically a stranger in Yemen, escape Yemen through his friends and the hive mind of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn kicked in and get him out of that war. And this kid from Yemen literally crossed the Red Sea on Passover and found his way to freedom in America. So we kind of told that story as analogous to the Passover story and what it means to sort of set yourself free and find freedom in today's contexts.
And that was picked up by a lot of major newspapers. The Story Course organization, which I think also participated in that, does a lot of dinners that are inspired by theater and performers. And what it does is, just like you said, it sheds light on something that people don't know about. And you help bring Passover to people of all faiths. And
we're
it
trying.
gets bigger and bigger every year. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Thank you. So let's talk about some of the stuff that everyone wants to hear about.
Okay, let's do it, guys.
When did you first feel, okay, I am going to make this my career?
Oh my gosh. I kind of felt like I was so bad at math that I had no other choice. You know? I always liked to sing and I guess act. When I got to college, though, I went to college originally to be a performer, and I don't know if you guys know that there's this idea of being a triple threat. Have you guys heard this term before? So being a triple threat, in case you don't know, it means that you're a really good singer, a really good actor, and a really good dancer. So when I got to college originally, I was in dance class, and I realized right away that I was not going to be a triple threat. And my collaborator, Justin, who I write most of my work with, we both were the two worst dancers in this class. We would kind of hide behind each other in the class, and we never knew exactly what French, you know, there's these French terms, pas de cheval, pas de chat, lots of pas things. And we would kind of just know when to run in the air, basically by saying, run a little bit, jump, and just jump for dear life. And hope that the teacher wouldn't pay too much attention. So we knew we were not going to be dancers. And then my sophomore year, we did a production of City of Angels. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is going to be the moment that I'm going to be cast in a real meaty role. And the cast list goes up, and I see that my part is that of man with camera. And the director, it's the first day of rehearsal, and they give this speech to be really kind to all of the people who, you know, have not gotten the big roles. And they say, you know, every part in the show matters, which is not really true in City of Angels. He says, it's a real ensemble show, which that's not true either. And then he looks at me and he goes, every part really matters, even the man with camera. And that's the moment that you know your part really does not matter. So it was really at that point that I think I was like, you know what, if I'm not going to be cast in this show, I'm just going to write my own show. And my collaborator and I, he was also cast as, he's a very Aryan-looking man, and he was cast as Harlan Yamato, the Asian coroner / backup dancer. So it was like the two of us against the world, and we were like, well, if we're not going to be cast, we'll write our own show. And then we basically got the other people who felt bad about the parts that they got cast in to be in our show instead. And we wrote our first show, which was a song cycle in college. So it really wasn't it wasn't really a plan, it was really more of a response. So first it was being bad at math, and then the second was just being bad at ballet.
Well, when you say you wrote a song cycle,
yeah.
Now, I mean, it was huge, right? It got performed 200 different productions of it.
I need to bring you everywhere with me. This is like, you're like my mom in terms of being my de facto publicist.
No, I did my research, but I have to tell you, for those of you that have seen Evan Hansen, there's a scene where he has all these note cards, and he's trying to read them, and they fall all over the place.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
And no, but I lost one. I was shuffling, and I thought, I'm going to have a Dear Evan Hansen moment here.
God.
But no, so it was huge for your first go-around. I mean,
you know, we were really lucky that we were in college at the same time that Facebook and YouTube were really beginning. So, you know, we wrote this collection of songs, and it was all about being young and being 19. And, you know, when you're 19, you believe that, like, the issues that you have are really, like, the end-all be-all issues. So they're very dramatic songs that lend themselves to musical theater very well, because you're like, oh, my life is over, and you're like, okay, well, you'll be okay in like a year. But it happened to coincide with the birth of these sort of new, you know, tech platforms. And so we put some videos online, and they, you know, were among sort of the first musical theater content that existed for college students. So a bunch of colleges started to do the show, and that kind of was what launched our beginnings. So, you know,
and then James and the Giant Peach followed.
yeah, so we wrote the show Edges, and then, you know, like a year after we did it, I think 15 different colleges performed it. And the year after that, like 40 different colleges performed it. And as a result of that, we got an agent in New York. But actually, this is a good crowd to tell this story to. Before Facebook and MySpace and all the things, there was a thing called Friendster. Does anybody remember Friendster? Yeah, we got some Friendster
MySpace.
early adopters. And I was looking for an internship, so I wrote to like 25 different writers that I admired, and nobody wrote me back, except one guy whose name is Jeff Marks, and he co-wrote Avenue Q. And he told me that the reason that he wrote me back is because in my Friendster profile, I was holding a sign that said Shalom, and he was like, all right. So as a result of that, I got to intern with him over the summer and see Avenue Q being put up for its first, you know, out-of-town production, and got to meet his agent. And because we had all these productions that were happening at colleges, we got to kind of sign with an agent and begin our career. So then came James and the Giant Peach, and ironically, A Christmas Story.
Right, that wasn't a Shalom sign, right?
That wasn't a Shalom.
quintessential.
Yeah, that was.
But you still managed to squeeze some Judaism into A Christmas Story.
Oh yeah, there's a lot actually of Judaism in A Christmas Story, guys. So if you haven't seen it, do you guys know the film that it's based on? It's based on a little boy who wants a BB gun for Christmas.
You'll shake your eye at it.
Yeah. And the best part to me and to my other Jewish collaborators on it is that one of the families in Pasek, they're known as the Schwartz family. So I mean, you know, your name is Schwartz in 1940s Indiana, that's probably saying something. And at the end of the film, this happens in the actual film, that they go to a Chinese restaurant because their turkey, you know, gets eaten by the dogs. And in the original film, they're by themselves at the Chinese restaurant, but in our musical, the Schwartz family is there as well.
And we saw that on live TV when they did it live.
So then we escalated the Judaism. We didn't stop there. We then invented the role of Mrs. Schwartz, who was played by Anna Gasteyer, and she then sang a Hanukkah song. So we actually really added a lot of Judaism to that. The song is called "In the Market for a Miracle." And the whole idea is, Ralphie, if you're in the market for a miracle, you know, come over to the Jewish people's homes and you'll find it.
So A Christmas Story went to Broadway.
Yeah.
For a nice run.
Yeah, a holiday show, you know.
Right. But then came La La Land.
Yes.
And again, more research. My understanding is that director, Damien Chazelle, he was looking for seasoned lyricists, right? Who could write songs that were composed by Justin Hurwitz. And they gave you like one song.
Well, yeah, so what happened was it's funny to like tell these stories with a lot of people watching. I'm like, oh my god. Basically, our manager was like, oh, they're looking for people who could write lyrics for this, and we got on the phone with them, and you know, we thought that we were really impressive, and we were like, yeah, okay, well, we wrote A Christmas Story, so hey, and our feedback was, we don't care, hey. And so our manager's like, you know what you got to do? You got to go to LA and just pretend that you're in LA. And just say, hey, we happen to be in LA, and we'd love to get dinner with you. And we're like, oh, okay, well, like, will someone pay for us? Like, we had no money. We were like, will someone pay for us to go to LA? And he was like, no. And we were like, okay, well, when are we supposed to go to LA? And he was like, it was Friday at the time. He was like, how about Sunday? We were like, okay. And all that we had was a melody that was sent to us. And so on the plane, we wrote the lyrics, or some lyrics to this melody, and then we wrote to Damien and Justin, and we were like, hey, we're in LA. Are you guys free and happen to be around for dinner, you know, tonight or tomorrow night?
Wait, you didn't just write a melody, you wrote the Oscar-winning song.
Well, it turned out, yeah, that the melody that they sent us was what eventually became City of Stars. But, you know, we said, oh, we happen to be in town, whatever, and then they agreed to get dinner with us. And the craziest coincidence, we were staying at a friend's apartment, and so we leave the dinner, and we go back to the friend's apartment, and right behind us, pulling into the same apartment building in Los Angeles is Damien and Justin. And Justin happened to live in this apartment building of where we were staying. So, you know, some might call it kismet, other people might call it by shit. But yeah, and then like, had we pulled in behind them though, I'm sure they would have been like, you guys are actual stalkers. You know, you fly here and pretend to live in Los Angeles and then follow us home. But because we pulled in before them, we hung out that whole night, and the next day we played them, we sang them the lyrics that we had written, and that's what got us the job. And a kind of nice, also a nice other story is that a friend of mine who I knew, who I was hanging out with in New York, decided to move to Los Angeles, and because La La Land is a story about, you know, love and heartbreak and what happens, you know, when you risk everything for a job. I just happened to like invite these two friends out to dinner with me because they were the only two people that I knew in Los Angeles. One was Damien and one was my friend Olivia. And Damien, you know, actually met Olivia that night, and then they got married 3 years later. Bashert. And I officiated their wedding. So yeah. So love does, you know, La La Land has a bittersweet ending, but it ended really happily.
And they gave you every song in the entire movie.
Well, that happened too. Yeah, that was nice. That was pretty nice.
And then you won a Golden Globe. And then you won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And how old were you at this point?
I would have been, I mean, it was just 2 years ago, so 30, I would have been 31.
30. Yeah. Who's mad at him? So, okay, then came Dear Evan Hansen. And I know, just having read every article about it, that you worked on this show for years before it ever got to Broadway. You spent a year in DC and you workshopped it.
Yeah.
You wrote songs that went away and are still fabulous that you can find on YouTube. But it's, for those of you that haven't seen it, this is a story of a young man with a social anxiety disorder who yearns to make a connection with his peers, and he fabricates a relationship with a deceased student to become closer with that boy's family. And when you hear that, you say, that's a Broadway musical?
Oh, believe me, when we pitched that, it was like, no.
But it works, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
So, I know a little bit that something happened at Friends Central while you were there that sort of gave you the spark for the idea. But tell us a little bit about how you get that spark and then turn it into a Tony-winning Broadway musical.
Well, before, I mean, I just want to say the idea of writing something it took, you know, I think eight years, probably 10 years from like the original idea to it becoming a Broadway show, and a lot of incredible collaborators along the way. But when I was in high school, I guess I would have been a sophomore. There was a kid who I didn't know very well, and over the summer break, right before we all returned to school, he passed away. And when school started up again, everyone acted as if he was their best friend. And everybody kind of inserted themselves into a tragedy that they did not really have a place in. And I was really fascinated by that because I was doing it too. I was looking for the moments of my connection to this kid who had passed away, and wanting to find a way that I, you know, was involved. And when I met Justin, my collaborator in college, he talked about similar things happening in his school, and the way that people responded to 9/11, and you know, there were people that made up that they were a part of that tragedy, and just these crazy things. And with the advent of social media, you see all the time people are posting, you know, online their connection to a celebrity who's passed away, and like all of a sudden Robin Williams is everyone's favorite, you know, comedian, and they had their own personal Robin Williams story. And while there's a need to grieve, there's also this weird sort of public need to perform for the world around you and say, hey, you know, I'm sad too. And so at first we started to write this show with a pretty cynical viewpoint of, you know, kind of condemning that behavior. But the more that we wrote it, we realized, one, it's a pretty bad decision to condemn characters instead of try to understand them. And also, we were guilty of it too. And what about being a human being, you know, in this age of the internet where we're, again, more connected than we've ever been, but feel more alone than we've ever felt, do we feel this need to insert ourselves in a tragedy that's not ours? And so the idea was, how do you create a character who feels incredibly separated from the world around him and yearns to just be a part of something, and when the slightest opportunity presents itself, even if, you know, it's morally questionable, the idea of belonging and the idea of finding solace with people who care about you and want to hear from you and validate your existence is so intoxicating that you're willing to walk through that door. And
it connected with everyone. Were you surprised at how it connected with everyone? And you can connect with Evan, you can connect with Connor's father, you can connect with Connor's mother, Evan's mother, depending on where you are in your life. There's so many characters that you can have a connection to in that story.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, one of the great pushes that we had from our collaborators was realizing this is not a story about a boy. It's a story about a boy who needs a family and a family who needs a boy and a mother who feels like she's disconnected from her son. And really examining those kinds of relationships, it is amazing that people find themselves in the story. And I think that it's a testament that when you write about something that you feel like it's your own private pain, you know, or something that you feel like is personal to you, whether that be mental health or whether that be suicide or whatever it is, you realize that once you kind of put that out in the world, that other people then begin to raise their hand and they say, hey, I feel that too. And there's something really remarkable about just witnessing, being in a theater and having audience members, you know, come up to actors after the show and share very intimate things about, you know, how they relate to, you know, some of the subject matter, and they feel a little bit less alone because they've seen some representation of what they've felt on stage.
And there's a lot of Jewishness in Evan Hansen as well. We know Jared is Jewish. He exclaims, wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles.
He also talks about how Evan can drink, they can drink whatever they want because their parents haven't touched the liquor cabinet since Rosh Hashanah 1997.
Right.
That's a line in there too.
But one of the most heart-wrenching moments is when Connor's mom is holding the tie.
Oh, yeah.
And she says that she bought this tie when Connor was going into 7th grade because all the other parents said, it's bar mitzvah year.
Yeah.
And he's going to go to every party, and he didn't get invited to one.
Yeah.
And it's those Jewish moments that you see your inspiration in.
Well, I have to also give credit to, I mean, like Stephen Levinson, who's the book writer, and he is also a very neurotic Jewish guy, so.
And then we get another Tony, and then we get another Grammy, right? I mean, they just keep coming, right? It doesn't stop.
I mean, I don't know, it's crazy.
Okay, so then The Greatest Showman. Now, $435 million worldwide. It only cost $84 million to make. It's the 5th highest grossing live action musical of all time. And again, same situation. Michael Gracie, who was the director, he imagined asking a whole bunch of different lyricists and music writers to compose songs for these characters. You did them all.
We were really lucky. We were in, again, a lot of it is like the Besher did it all. We were in a studio at the time, and someone, you know, we were having a meeting with someone and they said, oh, you know, I think one of our colleagues down the hall is developing a musical. Let me see if he happens to be in right now. And the colleague happened to be in, and the colleague introduced us to Michael Gracie, and we were just sort of relentless. We were just like, you know, what can we do? What can we write? Like, you know, so we went back to where we were staying in Los Angeles, and we wrote the first song in like, you know, 2 days, and we presented to him. We were like, what do you think? And he was like, well, I'd adjust this, this, and this. And then we were like, okay, here are the changes. And I think we were just so hungry to be seen and be heard that we were willing to kind of do anything. And it was a dream project. The making of it was insane, and you know, when it came out, it was not successful at all. It kind of bombed its first week at the box office, and everyone kind of presumed it to be dead. And I took a very sad road trip from California to Florida, where I was just sort of mourning the death of my career. And then, you know, things turned around.
Oh yeah, then it became #1 on iTunes in 77 countries. It became the best-selling album in both the UK and the US in 2018. I mean, it was, and still continues to be, huge. And I guess it opened up doors for Smash and Trolls and The Flash, and you were doing things everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really amazing ride, and Greatest Showman has been an incredible thing to be a part of because I grew up with music that from movies that really defined my childhood, the Disney movies, and so to hear people talk about Greatest Showman, and it's the song that their kids are singing at their middle school graduation, or that their kids are doing it in a dance class, or whatever it is, that it feels like it has become a soundtrack for people of their youth. I really look forward to being an old curmudgeon man and have people tell me that they still like A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman. That will be my goal.
That's a great goal, and I think it'll happen. So. And I listened to a lot of music getting ready for this, and one thing I saw, and everyone that writes about you talks about this, you said that you're attracted to material that's hopeful but messy. But in that mess, there's an attempt at getting to the truth, right? And the music is different in every project. So we had it playing as people were walking in, and they heard Nothing Short of Wonderful from Dogfight, which is very kind of Sondheim and syncopated. And then we also played Get Back Up Again from Anna Kendrick in Trolls, which is playful and manic. And then we had Another Day of Sun from La La Land, which is bittersweet, but it's that hectic freeway pace of LA. You Will Be Found from Dear Evan Hansen's almost a gospel sound to it. The This Is Me has become the anthem for the marginalized. So how do you capture these emotional moments and translate them into music that's so varied and different, but still hitting that emotional point?
Well, I think it's the goal of our collaboration that we're trying to just. Your goal as a writer is, I think, to be as invisible as possible. Honestly, if we've done our jobs well, you won't really know that we're there, and you really believe that a song is coming out of the mouths of a character, and that it represents what that character is feeling, and that the music is dictated by the emotion that character is trying to get at, and hopefully we have the opportunity as artists to write in different worlds and different styles, but to have it all be based from character. And it's a really big compliment to feel like, if we're achieving that and we're representing something that feels like it's a truth for that character, but that also then rings true for other people, that's really the goal. So, in terms of the quote that you mentioned, I think optimism is a really important thing, especially in this day and age. And I think, believing that the world doesn't have to be as it is, but you can imagine a world of what could be. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. And I think we really want to keep, writing things that feel honest. And so that's why I say, things are messy, because the world is messy, but if you believe that it can be improved and it can be better, and we can get to a better tomorrow, as cheesy as that is, I think that's something that I want to believe, and I want to put that out into the world.
I'll clap for that.
Sure.
So Benj is going to sing some of his songs, and while his accompanist is coming up, I want to ask you one more question, and that is, can you tease us a little bit? Because I know there are some things coming out. We know that in a few weeks we're going to see Disney's live-action Aladdin in theaters. We know that there's also a live-action Snow White that's coming, and our understanding is that you wrote new music for these classic Disney films, and you got to work alongside Alan Menken.
Yeah.
Can you tease us a little bit about what's coming and how exciting that was?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the music that defined my childhood was the Alan Menken, Howard Ashman music. So Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and The Little Mermaid. I mean, that's the stuff that I think, if you look at why musical theater is having such an incredible resurgence right now, I think it's because people who are my age grew up not only hearing musicals, but having all of their storytelling and their favorite storytelling be in musical form, And I feel really, really lucky to have gotten to work with him. So really, most of the sessions were me just going up to Alan Menken and be like, tell me about Ursula, tell me more about, Gaston. Yeah, we got the opportunity to rewrite or sort of expand the song Arabian Nights from the original Aladdin, which was really cool, and got to look at all the original lyric drafts and develop that. And then we got to write a song for Jasmine, because it's 2019 and Jasmine needs her own song, I think. Will Smith sings Arabian Nights.
Okay, so he's taking on the Robin Williams role to the fullest.
He really is.
Okay.
So those are, two kind of expanded moments. And yes, Snow White we're in the thick of it now, but I think it'll be an exciting thing. When you work on these projects, mainly your goal is just to not make people hate you, I think. So it's just like, don't ruin Aladdin.
Right, you're messing with a classic, right?
Yeah, so we're tiptoeing constantly, but we're hoping just not to disappoint.
I think we're all excited to see those, and we're going to let Benj sing some of the words that he's written.
Yeah, and guys, this is Linda. Welcome, Linda, to the stage. Thank you guys for having me. And also, an incredible performance of Never Enough. I was standing in the back. That was awesome. So thank you for Hello. Okay. So I'm going to sing a couple songs. Now remember that I became a songwriter because I didn't get cast in the school musical City of Angels. So this is one of those moments where, set your expectations low, and hopefully I'll, be better than what you hope I'll be. This first song I'm going to sing is from Dear Evan Hansen, and it's one of the first songs. We wrote a big chunk of the show, and then we threw it all out because it wasn't working. And then when we wrote this song, we kind of figured, okay, this makes sense for what the style of the show can be. And really it's a song about what it means to be kind of lonely and feel like you don't know where you fit, and you feel like you're on the outside of the world and you just want to feel like you belong somewhere. And if you listen closely, there's also some double meanings about not only looking into another world, but also kind of scrolling on your phone and looking at Instagram and all of the social media platforms that you don't really you feel like everybody else's lives are somehow better than yours, and you don't know why your life can't be like that. But the truth is that we all think that, so it's all just a lot of BS, so don't believe it. But this song is called Waiting for Pluto. I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key. Before I make the mistake, before I leave with the worst of me, give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away, so I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun, because you've learned, On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong, but every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun, because you learned. On the outside, always looking in, well, watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Will I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? Is anybody waving? Whoa. We're gonna sing another song for you. This is the song that we were talking about when we were flying on a plane to Los Angeles. And we wrote these lyrics to this beautiful melody by Justin Hurwitz. And this song is called City of Stars. And it requires some participation from you guys. Very minimal, so don't be afraid. There's whistling in the movie, you know, Ryan Gosling looks all cool, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna whistle right now, and you're like, okay, you're cool, we get it, you're very, very cool. So all of us will be as cool as Ryan Gosling tonight. I still don't know how to whistle. I'm 33 and I'm working on it. Luckily, Linda does, so she's gonna help me out, and we're gonna need you guys to do a little call and response with the whistling, and then we'll get into the song. You ready?
I think so.
You feeling empowered, Linda?
I am ready to
You got a room full of shoes ready to whistle. Let's do it. Very nice. City of stars, are you shining just for me? City of stars, there's so much that I can't see. Who knows? Is this the start of something wonderful and new? Or one more dream that I cannot make true? Stars, just one thing everybody wants. There in the bars and through the smoke screen of the crowded restaurants, it's love. Yes, all we're looking for is love from someone else. A rush, a glance, a touch, dance, a look in somebody's eyes to light up the skies, to open the world and send it reeling. A voice that says I'll be here and you'll be alright. I don't care if I know just where I will go, as long as I need this crazy feeling, a rat-tat-tat in my heart. I think I want it to stay. stars, you never shine so brightly.
Let's hear it for Benj Pasek.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
You know what? I think let's give him a little bit more. Maybe he'll do another song. Can we get one more song?
Okay.
It was not planned.
I mean, he kind of was like, "You're gonna do this," and I was like, "Okay."
Okay, guy with camera, sing your song.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, I saw some magic tricks that he did backstage. Are you guys all aware that he's an amazing musician? I mean, come on, he's a host, he's an interviewer, he's a magician. What more do you want? Okay, this song, which actually will be the last song, I think. This is a song from The Greatest Showman. And it was really nice the way that he described it, a song like for those who are marginalized. I think a lot about Jewish identity, I think a lot about being an other, and you know, I was really struck by at Passover last week, I guess during my Seder, just hearing the words of, you know, let all who are hungry come and eat. You were slaves in the land of Egypt. And like, what does it mean to have been a slave? What does it mean to know the experience of being marginalized? And when you're given privilege, what do you choose to do with that privilege? And how do you help others who are marginalized? And the characters in this movie are others, are, you know, considered freaks, or on the, you know, periphery of society. And this is sort of the song where they declare that they're, you know, not only accepting of who they are, not only will they be tolerated, but they demand to be celebrated. And I think that that's an incredible thing for people who are othered or who feel marginalized to kind of get up and declare that you are worthy of love. So this song is called This Is Me. I also don't have a choir behind me, so just pretend. I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say. We don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say. No one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. It's my skin will fire away. I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, then that's what we've become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, oh, 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 oh.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to borrow Benj for one more second because the first prize we're giving away in the raffle, tickets to Dear Evan Hansen, but not only tickets to Dear Evan Hansen. You get one of the Connor casts that was actually used in the show. We get a signed book as well, and Benj is going to pull out the name right now. Oh, that's me. Jen Weiss. Congratulations, Jen. We have your cast and we have your book and your tickets. Come on up and thank you so much, Ben. Great night. Okay, Jen, come on up. Once again, big hand for Jen. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Ben. Okay, our second giveaway this evening is from the Chop House. I understand we have a representative from the Chop House here. I understand, actually, this is the truth, that it's Sharon's favorite waitress. Is that what we did here? And is she here? Sherry, where is Sherry? Let's bring her up here, because Sherry, we want you to pull the winner, please. Here she comes. Here we go, Sherry. Reach in there. Let's get them all down in there. Pick a good one. Is it me? Jody Zeitz. I will be accepting on her behalf. Thank you very much. I will be having a filet for Jody. Okay. And we have someone from Jay Roberts as well. Yes. Jay and Jake, where are they? Come on up. Let's get our grand prize winner. I've seen this beautiful bracelet on many wrists in the office over the past few weeks. We had to pry it off of Lior just to get it up on the stage. You did give it back, Lior, right? Well, I guess we'll see. Do we have it? Is it in the box? Okay, there it is. Okay, guys. Yeah, it looks lovely. Oh, wow. Lovely. Okay, guys, dig on in and pick a good one. Is it me? No. It's Jody Rosen. Jody, come on up. Let's see if it fits. I have a feeling it will. Come on up, Jody. Congratulations, our big winner for the night. Let's give Jody a big round of applause. Oh, stunning, stunning. It matches the outfit, almost as if you knew. Thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors. Thank you guys for always helping out with our raffles and our giveaway. We appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great time tonight. Some refreshments for you to enjoy on your way out. Drive safe. Good night, everybody.